Hi everybody, this is Gail Tucker, and I'm recording my weekly discussion post blog. And the main reference for this week's blog is our textbook by Simmons, Lilly, and Coonley, and I will put that at the bottom in a reference list. As well, I'll be using some Bible scripture. So the first question is our understanding of how cultural humility, awareness, advocacy, and social justice are important to the counseling profession. Well, certainly in any social work area, in any counseling area, this is premium. Not only just in healthcare, which I have history and experience with, I can see this even more being important in the counseling venue. So, cultural humility from our book in Simmons um, says this, and this is interesting. Do nothing from fractional motives through contentiousness, strife, selfishness, or for unworthy ends, or prompted by conceit and empty arrogance. Instead, in the true spirit of humility, this is lowliness of mind, and it goes on to explain cultural humility. So, my understanding of it is that when we approach a client or a situation, we definitely shouldn't always approach it from our point of view, from where we were born and where we were raised and our values that we were raised with. With cultural awareness and cultural humility, we need to approach it more from where our clients came from, and certainly not taking any pridefulness in ourselves. I don't know about lowliness of mind, but certainly coming down. If we live in a mansion on the hill and we went to Harvard, we probably need to bring that down lots of notches. I don't have to bring it down too many notches to get where my counselees are. I had a pretty meager beginning as well. But this is what it is about, not only to better understand them, but also to let them feel comfortable, our clients, in a judgment-free zone, and to be sure and let them know that we are trying to understand where they came from, even though we no doubt we can't walk in anybody's shoes. Social justice is that being, in my opinion, being an advocate for others. There is certainly inequality in wages between male and female still, inequalities in hireability of many of our clients, either because of the skin color, because of their skin color, maybe because of their history, if they've been in the criminal justice system, things like that. And as counselors, we are advocates for them to be able to make the most of their lives, but also advocates in a bigger umbrella view, maybe going and lobbying so that people who do have past criminal records are able to apply for other jobs and have equal ability to move themselves up and to redeem themselves, if you will. So my understanding the ethical principles regarding cultural humility and cultural awareness, advocacy, and social justice, our book in Simmons and Lilly, it does a very good job of explaining what the ethical principles are by using actually the ANA Code of Ethics, and it's actually included in there that it says, with appropriate situations, you should definitely be a component of advocating for social justice, which is in a whole array of different subjects, as I just mentioned. Our question this week also talks about identify one Bible verse or spiritual quotation. And I unknowingly picked one that our textbook picked as well, but I did this before I read the text. So the two that I picked out have to do with humility, and these speak to me. So Philippians chapter 2, verse 3, do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. So that's really important, especially in addiction counseling, in any type of counseling, really. But I have the most experience in addictions, and people will come to you and they've really been through a lot. They may be homeless. They may not be able to get a job. They may be on probation. And there's lots of things that they're dealing with. And we can in no way present to them in a judgeful way. We have to try to walk in their shoes with some empathy and certainly have some humility with ourselves and where we came from versus maybe where they came from and certainly where they're at today. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 5 says, "Likewise, you who are younger, be subject to the elders. Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility toward one another, for God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble." And how true that is. There's many times in my life, whenever I seem to get on top of the hill and I'm going strong and I'm running the race good, I get a little pride. And every time God will humble me, you can count on it. He will remind me of who I am. So I try to stay humble all the time, if at all possible. This says, to list an action you would take to develop or demonstrate cultural humility with clients. Well, I spoke to that a little bit earlier. So with cultural humility, I don't think that any one of us can exactly walk in somebody's shoes or say, hey, I know where you came from. And certainly it wouldn't be beneficial to say that. I know where you came from. I've been through what you've been through, because none of us have been through exactly the same things as other people. But certainly to have some cultural humility would be to recognize that maybe in their culture, they definitely had different opportunities than possibly I had. In our book, I wanted to point out one thing, and I hope I can find it here while I'm being recorded. It's an interesting concept. I'm not sure that I agree with it totally. Page 201, where it lists the parallel social justice concepts with religious concepts. And I think this somewhat has to do with how it speaks also about cultural humility. So it says it compares religious concept of original sin, which we are all born with, to privilege. And I'm not totally getting that. If somebody wants to post a response and explain that to me, I don't, for one, feel especially privileged because of the color of my skin. But everybody had different beginnings. And so I certainly would always take into account everyone's cultural differences. And I would want to not just assume, but ask them about where they came from culturally and what it was like for them growing up and what experiences they had, and what barriers they certainly faced in their life. An action you will take to advocate or engage in social justice for client populations. Well, I already do this. I work as a pastoral counselor in a mental health counseling and addiction office, and we have a lot of people that are dealing right now with homelessness, and we do a lot to help them fill out paperwork for what we call Opportunities Inc., a program here in town that will pay people's rent for a certain amount of time. They work with the Section 8 people to get housing. And this is one thing, at least, that I'm doing right now to help engage in social justice, to help these people, even when they're not able to fill out these very complex forms, to assist them in doing that, and also getting the forms to where they need to go. Sometimes that's a really hard step for somebody who's in recovery. So I appreciate everybody listening to this today, and I look forward to listening to your blogs, and thanks so much. And I'm going to try to find out where my stop recording button is. I'm sorry. Here we go. Maybe. Sorry. Can't find the stop recording button. So, hi everybody again while I search around for the stop recording button. So sorry. I wonder if anybody else has this experience while you're recording, because it's kind of embarrassing. Here we go. Here it is. It was just hidden down below. Have a nice day, everybody.